on, sports fans? This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Coming with you with our third Friday roundtable. Let's talk sports.
Absolutely.
To get things started, Tyler Lavalette, I believe there was an amazing, intense football game in Detroit on Thursday night last night. Am I right?
Yes, there was. I had the fortune of being able to go to Ford Field to watch the Lions and the Packers, and it was a very close game. Came down to a Jake Bates field goal, and my mom took footage of me there at the game, reacting to it, how the win. Roll the clip.
I don't know. Give me a...
Yeah, as you can tell, the fans are going excited. I was excited too. However, it wasn't, of course, an easy win because, like I said, it was back and forth, back and forth. But to be able to be at Ford Field while the team was good is just awesome. This team is really hungry. It's fun to watch. Prices are definitely high these days, but the memories, the fact that this was my Christmas present, the memories are just priceless for it.
Yeah. All right, to start things off, first of all, Tyler, I am so happy for you and your family. I'm so glad you got your early Christmas present, or at least you got to open your gifts early, if that's how we want to talk about it.
I mean, I did say to you that Christmas came early.
Yes, it did for you. And I watched the game too, and the only bummer about that game was not being able to see you on live TV. I was looking for you. I was like, I want my guy to get on live TV because I've been there before, and I want others to have that experience. So, to sum it up, so honestly, that was probably, in terms of atmosphere, the best Detroit Lions atmosphere I have seen since the playoff game against Tampa Bay earlier in the year. Motown was rocking. There was blue everywhere. The fans were getting loud. And I've been to a Lions versus Bears game with Tyler, and those games, they get loud, ear-piercing loud. You can't hear, you know what. I don't want to say the bad word on live television, but it was so, from that experience, it was so loud. But I can imagine that was nothing compared to what Tyler Lavalette had to go to. I bet you it was ear-piercing loud and then some, Tyler. Is that right?
Oh, I can confirm. It was fun to go to. They had, for the pregame, Honolulu Boom, the drum line. They had a special guest, Bloomfield Hills native and Red Hot Chili Pepper drummer Chad Smith was part of the drumming. And they had a guitarist for the band Yellow Card performing the anthem on, guitar. And Eastern Michigan University marching band was performing at halftime.
Getting as much of the local stuff as you can. That's good stuff. Now, in terms of, I watched the game last night, and I will say the ending, in my opinion, anticlimactic. It was just okay, this is a chip shot. Jake Bates, he's got this. All he has to do is kick the football, and Detroit's going to win this game. And, of course, one other thing that everybody is going to talk about this game is Dan Campbell rolling the dice when he didn't need to. He went for it on fourth down in his own territory. They didn't get it. And in most games, that would be a disaster, and a mitigated disaster, to say the least. But you know what? It wasn't. You know why? It really just didn't matter because the Lions were going to win the game. I watched that game, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what the Packers are going to do. The Lions are going to find a way to win it because this football team is different. They know they are built to win games. They know they're built for greatness. And you know what? No matter how close the game is, they're going to go out there and they're going to show it.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, the finish felt anticlimactic. But hey, I wouldn't trade the fact that I got to watch it in Ford Field for anything. And seriously, walking around downtown Detroit before and afterwards, seeing all the bars there popping up with and people walking to the game and back and what have you, the city is just alive because you can have this happen in downtown Detroit. I get why they moved out of the Silverdome. It had to happen. But let's think about it. That stadium was just one stadium, surrounded by sheer parking near M59's freeway.
Good.
This
Sorry.
is, parking, yes, but you also have a lot to do. It's like when Jake and I went to Chicago. There's a lot of bars and stuff around Wrigley Field. Like, he and I went to a bar after the Cubs-Tigers game. This is that type of experience. I mean, I have, like, the rooftop bleachers at Comerica that Wrigley has, but it's that similar experience, you know. Absolutely.
And I want to add on to what Tyler's saying in terms of Motown being alive right now. That is 100% accurate. And I'm going to go a little further. 2024, one can make the case the year of Motown, because Detroit, they were rocking it out with sports. I mean, not only did you have the Lions, who went to the playoffs, almost went to the Super Bowl, and of course, you had this amazing Thursday night football game that my friend Tyler and his family went to. They hosted March Madness as well. I had the fortune of going with my dad to watch Purdue and Gonzaga play in the Sweet 16, and I just gotta say, Motown delivered on that experience. The vibe was great. And though I didn't get to go to the Elite Eight between Purdue and Tennessee, hey, the fans were great there. I know Purdue fans travel well, but Detroit did an excellent job hosting March Madness and all the fan bases who came there. I mean, that is an experience. That's something I'm never going to forget from this year. And Motown, Detroit, thank you very much for hosting a great NCAA tournament experience, not just for Boilermaker Nation, but for all the fan bases that were there. And Tyler, what's that sweatshirt you're wearing? That looks cool.
Why, thank you. I was in the southwest side of Michigan recently for Thanksgiving, and I was at a rally house in Mishawaka, and it's a Detroit shirt with the old Lions logo from back in the 1930s, from when the team first was moved from Portsmouth, Ohio.
Yeah, I was just looking at that sweatshirt. That vintage stuff. I love vintage stuff, even if it's not my team. I think vintage is the best. And if I'm correct, you wore that at the game, did you not?
Yes, of course. I also had to wear a coat because, well, it was still chilly walking from the underground parking garage to the stadium. But still, yeah, it was cold.
But it must have been worth it, though. I bet.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely worth it, being able to go into the cold like that. It was fun.
Yeah, I just want to add on. It's fitting that you're wearing a vintage Lions sweatshirt, because right now, this Lions team, they're not only honoring the past, but they are building for the future. And with this kind of team that you got, never been a better time to wear a vintage-looking sweatshirt. Good job, Tyler.
Thanks. And, of course, like you mentioned, honoring the past and all, like, think about the jerseys that they now have, the home and away jerseys. That definitely got that old-school feel to it with the blocky letters, like something out of the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thought I had, on a side note, another thing that makes me really happy about this game, it's when the Packers lose, okay? So I'm not a Lions fan either, but I despise those Green Bay Packers. I just want to break something every time I think about them. So to watch the Lions just go out, I mean, sure, they didn't blow out the Packers, but to just go out there and just rip their hearts out the way they did, it makes this Bears fan feel very, very satisfied. So, good job.
I was surrounded by a fair amount of Packer fans that traveled well.
I bet you were.
And you saw at least one guy wearing a cheese head. I heard "Go Pack Go." I heard some sarcastic Jared Goff chants on an interception. I heard it all.
I bet you didn't hear much after the game, though.
No, I didn't feel like trying to shake hands with those guys.
Can't say I blame you.
Now, Bills fans, though, when we face them in 9 days, they're friendly folks.
Yeah.
They're good. We can definitely be friendly with those guys.
Absolutely. That's a great fan base, and that's going to be a great matchup because the Bills, they're rocking and rolling right now, much like Detroit. I mean, it could be these two teams who've never won a Super Bowl in the Super Bowl for the maybe not for the first time for Buffalo, but it would be for Detroit. But imagine that, two long-suffering fan bases with one ultimate goal, and one of them's going to be happy at the end. I hope that's the Super Bowl matchup we get, to be honest.
CBS could not have picked a better matchup to protect not for the next Sunday after this week to have the NFL of today go to. That 4:25 matchup, at 4:25 p.m. will be a ratings success story. It is going to be fun.
Indeed to that. So I guess one final thought about this subject, and I'll let Tyler say something else about this game before then. But I just want to say, Motown or Detroit, they're rocking right now. Blue is the primary color. Blue is the dress code in Detroit right now, and for all good reasons. Because right now, Detroit has not only they got a football team they can be proud of, they got a football team that could win it all. That is where I close this out.
Yes, and I will close it out by agreeing with you and saying this. I never thought, and I think many of us never thought we would see the day. When you grew up in eras where blacked out games, the 0-16 stretch, it was not fun. To now have this, there are so many Lions fans we have lost along the way that we just wish could have been there with us.
And I was also going to say, and fittingly, this Lions team is being led by a man in Dan Campbell who knows all this pain all too well. He was a part of that team.
Mm-hmm.
But Detroit, stand tall and be proud because you got yourselves a great, great football team. And yeah, this Bears fan is jealous.
Hey, at least we can have something to be proud of. If we win with a Super Bowl one day, this team is going to be remembered fondly for all the right reasons.
Yes, it will. All right. And now we're going to shift gears. We're staying on the topic of football, but we're just shifting gears to a different division of football. We're going to the college sides of things, and we're going to react. And actually, we're going to talk about something relating to the game between Michigan and Ohio State. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but Tyler Lavalette, have some fun with this subject. What are your thoughts on Michigan upsetting Ohio State? Well, beating them for the fourth year in a row, but upsetting them this year. Go for it, my man.
Everyone was going to say, this is Ohio State's game to win. And, well, they got, beaten pretty bad. Close game, and they clearly weren't ready for it because it had done damage against Indiana, sure. But this was a Michigan team that was lucky to be able to get to a bowl game. Not the playoffs, but at least a bowl game. And for them to be able to, there are some guys on that Michigan team that first got to win a game with Jim Harbaugh as freshmen. And if they were able to make it as seniors, they knew nothing but victories against the Scarlet and Silver.
Yeah. I will say this. I feel for the seniors of the Ohio State Buckeyes who never had that feeling of beating Michigan. It's a tough one, to say the least. But watching that game, just could not believe how that game actually turned out. Don't get me wrong, inside I was laughing, and I also, admittedly, I felt bad for my cousin Christian, who is, for one reason or another, an Ohio State fan. Why? I couldn't tell you. Lord knows. But he had to go through that pain of losing to Michigan 4 years in a row. And all I could think to myself is, my friends who live in Michigan, and my friend Tyler, he's got to be laughing his butt off.
Yeah, we basically went an entire decade or so without a win. And, of course, 2020 didn't happen at all because of the pandemic.
And now it's your guys' turn to laugh. In retrospect, before I shift gears to what I'm going to focus on primarily in terms of this subject, Michigan had no business winning that game. They really did not. Ohio State, they should have won the game, but you know what? Michigan won the game, and kudos to them. They found a way. Hey, it doesn't matter whether you should or shouldn't win a game. What matters is you won the game, regardless of the circumstances. You know what? Michigan won, and they embarrassed Ohio State University.
Mm-hmm. And although the classless thing about Ohio State was the flag planting, that's just stupid. And yeah, Michigan won, but that just led to them doing something ugly with that altercation afterwards.
Yeah, that was definitely not a good sight to see, which also kind of leads into the transition to the main focus of this topic. And now we are gonna roll a clip. So obviously, you guys know there was a fight between Michigan and Ohio State, which leads us to this guy in the clip. His name is Ryan Day. He is the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and he has come under tons of fire, like all the fire in the world for his team's poor performance against the Michigan Wolverines. I've been thinking about this a lot throughout the week, and after putting a lot of thought, something came to my head, a realization. Not just the kind of realization, oh, Ryan Day is not as good of a head coach as some may say he is. You know what? I think there's bigger problems behind the scene when it comes to Ryan Day. Now, I am not for one saying that Ryan Day should be fired, okay? He shouldn't be. I'm about to unleash, by the way. But what I am saying is, Ohio State, they got all the talent in the world, okay? They got all the resources. It's the Ohio State University. But based on what I saw in this game and in other games, of course, Michigan exposed Ryan Day's coaching ability. And the reason I say that, and the reason I say Ryan Day is not as good of a head coach as advertised, is because the talent that Ohio State has and the culture that Ohio State has is masking his weaknesses. All right, I'm not saying he isn't a good coach, but he's not as good as people say it, or those close by him say he is, because he has so much support from the team and the coach. Like, it's masking. It is masking his coaching ability and the weaknesses in his coaching. And because of this, we're seeing a coach in Ryan Day that comes off as arrogant, and because of this arrogance, he really doesn't do enough. I'm not saying he doesn't work hard as a coach, but he doesn't do enough for the team. Sometimes he just does not prepare his teams enough. And that is evident in the Michigan game. 4 years in a row, he has failed to prepare for Michigan. And it's coming to me why. I think he takes this rivalry for granted at times and just doesn't prepare his teams to the best of his ability. It's almost like you could say he's, in a way, coasting. Tyler, what are your thoughts on what I just said?
Well said, and it's a good thing. Everyone looks back on the 10-year war between Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes fondly, with those nine wins they split between each other and the tie game. Neither coach had that hubris and take for granted attitude for a reason.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm noticing with Ryan Day. Not just like taking things for granted. You know, he gets cocky. He like I said, arrogant, cocky, maybe doesn't work as hard as he should. I just think the problem is, you could even say, like, here's the thing. Is Ryan Day really leading the Ohio State Buckeyes? Or are the Ohio State Buckeyes leading Ryan Day? That is one of the big questions I have when I watch Ryan Day coach. And it's not just against Michigan. I've noticed other games this year. Okay, so sometimes you have some games that are closer than they should. It happens, but a lot of times when you have a close game, coaches have to make adjustments to try and spread things out in the second half. And not just I noticed this in the Michigan game, but also in other games. Ryan Day does not make adjustments. He's stubborn. He just sticks to the same game plan. He doesn't even tinker it up a little bit. It's mind-blowing to me. It's like, I think that another thing is, I think this is a product maybe of the Ohio State culture. Here's the thing. All universities are arrogant, all right? Even Purdue. But arrogance is really big with those big-name universities like Ohio State. And I think with Ryan Day, he has infused himself too much in the Ohio State arrogance to the point where literally he is not doing as much as he should be to prepare his football teams. Like, is he really a guy that these football players want to follow in the long run? Or are they here's the thing. Or are they following the Ohio State way? Are they coming to Ohio State to say they went to the Ohio State University? And the thing is, okay, Ohio State is Ohio State, just like Michigan is Michigan. Players are going to come there because of the name of the university. But what I noticed, compared to great Ohio State coaches like Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel, those guys, they separated. They did enough to separate themselves at Ohio State, to make themselves legends. The thing I believe right now, Ryan Day is not doing enough to separate himself as a great coach. And for all these things that I have listed, or all these reasons that I have listed, one has to wonder, is he really the right guy to lead this Ohio State Buckeyes team? Now, I'm not saying you fire him this season. That's not going to happen. That shouldn't happen. But next year, and whatever happens with Ohio State in the playoffs, which they're going to be in the playoffs, that seat is going to be mighty warm. What say you, Tyler Lavalette?
I feel like when you mentioned the fact that he doesn't adapt well and changes and stuff, I feel like when you look back at Henry Ford on the Model T, very little changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not good. There is a lot of ego and arrogance down in Columbus, and I don't know how many of those fan base would want to hear it from us in up northern folk.
Yeah,
but because they're in a state of denial, it's not pretty, and I honestly don't feel sorry for those folk.
I mean, I can't blame you because, you're a Michigan fan.
State fans also hate them too, so. The whole state doesn't like Ohio State.
Yeah. The fans recognize this, and I will also say a lot of Ohio State fans, they're no longer on the Ryan Day bandwagon. Okay, they want him gone just as much. Okay, Tyler, as a Michigan fan, you probably want him to re-sign Ryan Day because that means Michigan beats them more. I can see it in the look on your face. You want that to happen. Go ahead, I'll let you express some more thoughts.
Who says anything about that? I just want to enjoy the meltdown and the ride. Although, to be fair, if he does get fired, that would be 2 coaches a Michigan-based football team has beaten so badly the opposing coach gets fired. Oof. I think you know where I'm going with the other one. Where you're going out with the other one, but I wouldn't mind that happening as well, to be 2 for 2.
Absolutely. And you know what? A lot of people around the nation would probably be with you on that. Like, everybody's kind of got that viewpoint. When Ohio State loses, America wins. So, anyway, to close out this subject, making sure I've gotten everything I wanted out of this. So, pretty much to close it out. Okay, I'm not saying Ryan Day is not a good coach, okay? I'm sure he is a very good coach. And anywhere else, if he was winning this many games anywhere else, he'd be a legend. But I feel like the number of wins that he has had, like, I know he's 1-4 versus Michigan, but he has plenty of other wins versus everybody else. But I also think those wins are masking the fact that he is not as good as advertised. I believe that the real reason why Ohio State is as successful as it is because they recruit so many 5-stars, so many great players. Now, Ryan Day, I just don't think he coaches them to the best of their ability. And I'm not saying he has to be a rah-rah or like pick up his spear, lead the charge. Like, Ohio State, still, this is Ohio State. Coaching, if you're going to be the head coach at Ohio State, you need to show that you can lead the way. And the best way to do that is by example. We could say, okay, so maybe he was a bit overwhelmed in thought with what was going on with the fight. But I also think there were things he could have done better in that instance, rather than getting caught on camera just staring off. But there's other ways, too, that he can lead by example. He needs to, if he's interacting more with the players and, kind of helping them to progress it personally whenever he has time, that's leading by example. I'm just not sure that Ryan Day does that. I think that with the luxuries that come with his job being the coach of the Ohio State University and all the resources he has, NIL, all that stuff, I think that all right. In a way, he's not working as hard as he should be because he's kind of leaning a lot on the resources that Ohio State has. So after watching the Michigan game on Saturday, these are the thoughts that run in my head when it comes to Ryan Day.
I don't think I could agree with you much more than that. You have to question how long he has left with that school.
Absolutely. I don't think he's going to get fired this year, okay? I don't think it's going to happen. They're going to have a playoff game, but the pressure to win a game in the playoffs just ramped up big time after that loss to Michigan. And going into next season is going to be very telling of coaching-wise where Ryan Day's mindset is at. Here's the thing. I could see him getting let go by Ohio State if A, he loses to Michigan for the 5th year in a row, and B, they miss the postseason entirely.
That sounds fair. We'll see.
Absolutely. And look, I'm not saying he's not a good guy. All I'm saying to you, Ohio State football fans out there, the reason I don't think Ryan Day right now is the right guy for Ohio State is because he seems to be the guy that's either glass half full or half empty. I just don't think he puts everything he has into coaching this team. I think he's just too reliant on the resources that he has. And with the culture at Ohio State, there's that arrogance, and that has bled into him or he's let that bleed into him. And going into the offseason, regardless of what Ohio State does in the postseason, he's gonna be looking at himself in the mirror, and he should ask himself, am I doing everything I can to help Ohio State football succeed? Those are my final thoughts on this subject.
And to close it out, I feel like internally, the answer might be a no.
Yeah. I don't know either, which is why I'm probably leaning towards no as well. Okay, and by the way, going into the next subject, now Ryan Day, by the way, was also a candidate or supposedly rumored candidate to be the new head coach of the Chicago Bears after this season. Really? What? And this is the transition I have, which is into my next subject. I hope this doesn't happen because I don't think he'd be a great fit at the Chicago Bears. But so, for those of you who don't know, Matt Eberflus was fired by the Chicago Bears. He was let go after just being flat out incompetent and not being able to manage the clock and close out the deal on some big-time wins. So he's gone. And Thomas Brown's now the interim head coach. So now the Bears are interviewing new candidates for the coaching staff. And so I mentioned in my Wax on Wednesday last week that my top 2 candidates are the Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson and former Titans coach Mike Vrabel. Well, sports fans, things just got interesting. So apparently now there is some rumor going around that they are looking at 2 high-profile head coaches who are coaching in the NFL. One is Kyle Shanahan, who is the coach for the 49ers, and the other is Sean McVay, who is coaching the Los Angeles Rams. Those 2 names just popped up on the radar for candidates for the Chicago Bears head coaching job. What do you make of this, Tyler LaVallette? You believe this, or are you just like, this is a bunch of malarkey?
Malarkey. It's just a shocker, really, that those 2 names just came up out of nowhere. I mean, the Rams are still in the NFC West. The Niners, I don't think they're going to be going into the playoffs. Sorry. They've had a lot of injury concerns. I don't know how good Shanahan has not had the best of luck winning a championship, so I don't expect him to have that success. McVay's lucky to have won it in L.A. when they hosted it. So,
Yeah, and with former Detroit Lions quarterback Matt Stafford, of course. But thinking about those two candidates, I'm going to just say this. Would I like to have either one of those guys? Heck yes, I would. I think they're both proven winners. Both of them would be a huge benefit to Caleb Williams because they both run fantastic offensive systems. Kyle Shanahan, it speaks for, okay, everybody will give him his knocks for not winning the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, but he is still a great head coach and runs a fabulous offensive system in San Francisco. And Sean McVay, absolutely, runs a great system out in Los Angeles. I just think that team is cap-strapped, which is why they're not going to make the playoffs. There's just one problem. The Chicago Bears are going to have to pay they may have to pay a very hefty price to get him. And how would they get them if they're still under contract with like the 49ers and the Rams? If they get either one, they're going to have to trade. And this would involve possibly trading not one, but two, maybe three first-round picks for the next 3 years just to get a coach. And for the record, this has happened before. The Buccaneers back in 2002, they traded 2 firsts and 2 seconds to the Oakland Raiders to get John Gruden. Thankfully, that trade worked out for them, and they won the Super Bowl in 2003. But, hey, it's the Bears. That doesn't mean it's going to work out. The thing is, the Bears don't have too much draft capital, and we need to use that draft capital to build an O-line. Okay, we got to protect Caleb, or he's going to get killed out there.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, that just doesn't seem like a good thing to use your draft picks on. Use it on a good player, but a coach? There's a reason that it doesn't work out well when you trade coaches for draft picks and vice versa. It just sounds dumb.
Yeah, no. That's the thing that scares me. This feels like a move that could actually break the Chicago Bears for good. They'll never be good. And I'll have to suffer the rest of my life without watching the Bears win anything. But the thing is, look, it may have worked out for the Buccaneers, but that's because they already had a team in place. The only reason I could see the Bears doing this is if they think they're not only in a win-now situation, but they think they got a team that can win it all. There's good pieces in Chicago. The Bears have talented players. There's no doubt there. But I think they still got a ways to go, which is why I'm not for paying this kind of a price for a head coach because they're not that close. They need an O-line. And let me say that again. You need an O-line to compete in the NFL. Come on, Chicago, get with the program. Detroit's doing so well because they have a great O-line. That's one of the big reasons. Like, you win in the trenches. And right now, we don't have much draft capital, and we need to get as many offensive linemen as possible. Okay, I'm not saying use all your picks on linemen, but get the best linemen you can get possible. And look, if we don't get Shanahan or Sean McVay, that's fine, okay? I'd rather not pay that hefty price. Now, if for some reason the Rams and the 49ers, either or, decides to let go of Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay, and we can pick them up a different way, okay, then we can try for that. I just don't see how that's going to happen. I don't know that that's going to happen. Both those franchises they would not be so smart to let go of great head coaches. It just would not work out well for them. They would regret that. The thing is, hey, if we don't get Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan, I'm okay with that because that means we avoided paying that hefty price or spend so much draft capital and money, just wasting it all or burning it all. We can't do that, which is why I mentioned my top 2 candidates. And the reason I like Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel is you wouldn't have to trade draft picks for them. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, one doesn't even, as far as I can tell, one isn't even coaching, and one an offensive coordinator who I'm sorry is obviously not available for interviews right now. He probably won't be until January or February, depending on the Lions' playoff run.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to take some time for the Bears. I know they're going to, from what I've heard, okay, Ryan Poles is going to be back, and Kevin Warren is also helping with the search for this head coach or this new head coach for the Bears. So I know it's probably not going to be decided probably until the end of January at most. And if they really want Ben Johnson, they're really going to have to wait. There's a good chance they're going to have to wait because the Lions, they got a team that's capable of making it to New Orleans to play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, it's going to be a lot of waiting. Enjoy the wait.
Yep. But that's accurate. So I'm sure the Bears are, I mean, if they want Ben Johnson, they'll wait that long for him. I could see that happening. It just depends on what they want. But those are, hey, Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel, those are my top two. Like, those are the guys I would want. Like, I'm good with, like, if we can get Shanahan or Sean McVay without paying too heavy of a price, sure, welcome to Chicago. By the way, on a side note, and to close this subject out, on a side note, you're not going to believe this, sports fans. The Chicago Bears are not the only major sports team in Chicago looking for a new head coach now. The Blackhawks just fired Luke Richardson.
Soccer.
So, what are your thoughts on that, Todd? Go for it.
Well, it's baffling. I mean, you think a decade ago, you were winning 3 championships in early part of the 2010s. Now this, and even with Connor Bedard, that locker room culture is not good. Something is wrong in the Windy City, in the United Center. I don't know what it is.
Honestly, I'm also kind of figuring it out, but here's one thing I do know. Okay, Luke Richardson seems like a good guy, but he had designed a system on offense that in no way, shape, or form benefited Connor Bedard. Like, in fact, Connor Bedard, he's having a sophomore slump. And a lot of it has to do with this offensive system that the Chicago Blackhawks have been running under Luke Richardson. It wasn't working. Okay, that's a superstar. Bedard should be scoring goals. He should be getting assists. And the problem is, I mean, NHL defenses are all over him. And here's the thing. The way that the Blackhawks have been using their wingers and other players, it's stagnated Bedard's development in a way. They can get things back on track with the right hire, but a lot of work to go there. So I wish Luke Richardson well, but look, he wanted to play defense first, but that's fine. But you got to have complementary offense. And that wasn't happening with the Chicago Blackhawks. And also, Anders Sorensen, that is going to be the Blackhawks interim head coach for this season. I don't have any other candidates at the moment for the Blackhawks. I'm going to do some research on that, but it's so difficult right now for me to wear Bears and Blackhawks gear right now. What do I do? I don't know.
Sometimes you have to go through the hardship after you go through the successes.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the Blackhawks, that's happening now. It's just been hard to say about success for the Bears.
Yeah, that's true. And hey, it's for the Blackhawks, it's a rebuild. We're paying the price for those 3 Stanley Cups. We were spoiled. I was spoiled. All right. I, as a fan, have to pay the price too. And hey, it's going to take some time for this team to rebuild. And but getting a new coach is a positive step in the right direction for this Blackhawks organization. And same with the Bears. All right, all my teams need new coaches. This is crazy. Even the Purdue Boilermakers need new coaches. This is insane and really unprecedented. Here's the thing. Love Purdue football. Love it. Chicago Bears football. I love Blackhawks hockey. Did I see all 3 needing a new coach in the same year? Can't say I did.
I don't think you had that in your 2024 bingo card.
For sure, no. Oh,
Did you also have White Sox having the most losses in an MLB season?
All I got to say about that is, thank God I am not a White Sox fan. Because you know what? I would just melt right now. All right.
Yeah, maybe it's for the best.
All right. Well, that's it for this subject. Tyler, what else might be on that mind of yours? Take it away.
Well, I've been hearing that Derek Lalonde's on the hot seat with the Wings not doing too well these days. I mean, not bottom feeded, but definitely not quite making the playoffs yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's going on with the Red Wings, kind of watching them, is it's just part of the rebuild. Last year, they were really close to a playoff berth, but this year, something's gone wrong. I don't know. They've got some really good prospects, one of them being Cider. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Dylan Larkin is Dylan Larkin. They got some good young guys, but I do wonder if some of the veterans that they've signed really haven't panned out as well as the Detroit Red Wings were hoping for. Maybe you know more about this, Tyler, than I do. Actually, you probably do.
Well, I haven't been able to watch a whole lot of them on YouTube TV because they don't have FanDuel Sports Network Detroit. But it's just my local sports channels and all. But the thing is, Patrick Kane's still out, and that's not exactly a big help area in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Injuries are always a killer. Even the Blackhawks, they got some injuries going on too. Absolutely.
No one's perfect.
Yep. And of course, the Blackhawks, they're just going through, like I said, they're going through a rebuild, and a lot of that is they're waiting for their prospects to develop in lower levels. They're not in any hurry to rush them. And I think it's kind of the same with Detroit. They might be waiting on some new prospects as well. Is that correct, Tyler?
I believe so. There's probably some guys in Grand Rapids and Toledo down that are promising and all. We'll see.
Absolutely. Hey, they could bounce back next year, or depends on what happens. I mean, the one thing I know for certain for Steve Yzerman, what he's going to do this season, he has no easy decisions going forward.
Nope. That he does not.
Indeed. All right, Mr. Tyler Lavalette, what else is on your mind, if anything?
This Sunday, we will have the college football playoffs get fully revealed, as well as all the other bowl games besides that. I cannot wait for how the championship weekend plays out to see who gets the first 4 byes for the first round and who gets the opportunity to hold playoff games on campuses or nearby good neutral sites for the first round.
Absolutely. I'm excited about that, too. I'll be watching, without a doubt, I'll be watching the Oregon-Penn State game to see how that turns out, or who gets a number 1 seed, as Tyler mentioned. It'll be competitive. Nice thing is, neither team will get penalized. I don't think either team will miss the playoffs because both of them have made it to that point, and the committee has said that they are not penalizing anyone who made the championship game, especially someone who is in playoff position. So both should still make it. The SEC championship game will be interesting. I think Georgia and Texas. Am I correct?
Yes. Now, it's crazy to think that Texas just joined the SEC. It's now in a championship game. First season.
Who would have thought, right? I completely that blows my mind. Texas in the SEC championship in their first season. Who had that in their bingo card? I know they had a great season last year, or their last season as part of the Big 12. But I thought the SEC was going to be tough on them in their first year. No, they've adapted, and I mean, look at Oregon too, who's adapted very well to the Big 10.
Right.
Plenty of surprises this college football.
I know.
Absolutely. Wow. College football this season. New conferences, new mysteries, and a whole new level of spiciness.
Yep, and now we got the 12-team playoffs. That is going to be fun.
Yes, it will. And I guess one final thought, or one more thought on it at least. I will be so happy if somehow, some way, Alabama does not get into the playoffs. I will be like, thank goodness, because they've been spoiled so much. But you know what? I've got my hopes up too high there, and they're probably going to make it because college football, they love the Alabama Crimson Tide. They want them in the playoffs, and we all know it. And there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, what's that? Did I miss something?
Beat them in the first round.
Well, that's true. I mean, granted, it is a 12-man playoff, but you know what? Hey, look, I'm one of those guys who, I respect Nick Saban and all he did, but I'm done with that Alabama. They've been spoiled. So if they lose in the playoffs, first round, even if they make it, okay. I'll be like, all right, no Roll Tide anymore. But it would be a heck of an accomplishment for Kalen DeBoer in his first season as the Alabama head coach. So I'll give that guy respect. But No, not a Bama fan. Nope. Don't like them.
Not really much of one either.
Yeah. I'll be curious. On another note, I'll be curious to see how Indiana does. This is the surprise team of the season. Who would have thought IU would be in the college football playoffs? I certainly didn't think so, but Kurt Cignetti, he should be the Big Ten Coach of the Year without a doubt. Turning that 3-win IU team from last season into a playoff contender, that is a leap. One giant leap.
Yeah, who had that one coming? I certainly didn't. And a lot of people down in Bloomington sure didn't either.
No, indeed. The big surprise. And you know what? He said it. He bet on himself. He said, Google me, I win. And you know what? Respect to Kurt Cignetti. He wasn't wrong. And it'll be interesting to see what regardless of how they do in the playoffs, I'm curious to see how Indiana does next season. Because regardless, even if they don't win, like I said, even if they don't win a game in the playoffs, hey, they have had arguably their greatest season of college football ever. No question.
Yep, that's something to be proud of as well.
Absolutely. Anything else on your mind, Mr. Tyler?
Not that I can think of much. It's going to be nice for the Lions to have a couple more days off, and then we're back at it at 4:25 against the Bills.
There you go. Bears are, as far as I remember, the Bears are, speaking of like me talking about the Bears trying to take Shanahan away from the 49ers, these two teams are playing each other this weekend around 4 p.m. So I'll say this. If the Bears can beat the 49ers, then they earn the right to at least talk with Shanahan and talk with the 49ers about trading. But if the 49ers beat them, squash the trade talks. Dead.
Agreed.
Absolutely. All right. Sports fans, we are preparing to sign off for this week. I hope you guys are having a good holiday season to start the year. And also, me and Tyler would like to say this. This is a message to those who are who watch these episodes. If you have any questions or any topics you would like us to talk about, please leave them in the comments below in the video. We are open to questions, and me and Tyler would greatly love to answer your questions. And whatever topics you have in mind, we would love to talk about that stuff. We like to be as open to the community as possible.
Absolutely. We want to engage with you. That's part of what we like to do. We talk about this stuff, and you are our fans too. We want some good two-way dialogue.
Yes, indeed. We want to get to know our fan base. We want to know as much as possible. We want to gather information, and having interactions with the fans, it helps us a lot. And me and Tyler, we're thankful for it, and we're so thankful to be able to do something like this, to talk sports with you every Friday as much as we can do it.
Absolutely. And we are honored as well.
Yep, it's a privilege, 100%. All right, sports fans, I hope you enjoyed this week's Friday Roundtable featuring me and the great Tyler LaVallette. Next week, we're going to try and talk about the college football playoff field and what other sports news is hot on the week. All right, sports fans, I hope you enjoyed this week's Friday Roundtable. Thank you so much for watching. Also, don't forget, YouTube and Facebook, or YouTube/Two Guys Talk Sports and other things, and Facebook/Two Guys Talk Sports. You can find us there.
Absolutely. Those are our YouTube and Facebook handles, and we'll be happy to communicate with you elsewhere with that.
Yes, indeed. All right, sports fans, that's all we got for this week. So, we are getting ready to sign off. This is Jay Waxman.
And this is Tyler LaVallette.
Wishing you all a good week. Signing off. Have a good week, everyone.